that loud enough?
Yes.
Okay.
A little louder.
Alright,
It should be louder.
Doesn't go loud.
Oh, really?
No?
Yeah, I'll turn on the volume.
Oh, it's just like...
My apologies to Arlo. Now this song is called Abby's Coffee House, and it's about Abby and the coffee house. But Abby's Coffee House is not the name of the coffee house. It's just the name of the song. And that's why I call this song Abby's Coffee House. Now it all started 2 Thanksgivings ago. It was 2 years ago around Thanksgiving, and a friend and I went to Millville looking for Abby's famous coffee house, bookstore, and creative emporium. We had heard of the elixirs that one might partake of there, and the special brownies and gingerbread people, ingestion of which were said to loosen the wing nuts of the imagination and bestow unfettered communion with the muses. And friends, we knew we were in the right place when we looked up and got the sign. For we were on High Street and we couldn't get no higher, and there could be no better place to be. Yes, this had to be it, and we eagerly went up one side and down the other, and even stood in the middle, risking arrest and being a public nuisance and jaywalking. We stood looking for a sign of this magical place and its mysterious purveyor. And being the kind of guys we were, we asked around for directions to Abby's. Now some folks said her name was Abby, and some folks said her name was Amy. And there was even some that said her name was Margaret. And some admitted they'd never actually seen her and couldn't say for sure if she was a woman, or a man cross-dressing as a woman, or a woman disguised as a man cross-dressing as a woman. Yes, it was all confusing and made our heads hurt, but we were determined to get to the bottom of it. And suddenly there, in the middle of the block, over the faded facade of Champion's Hardware, in bold letters, was the caricature of a cigarette-smoking dog in these words: Bogart's Bookstore and Coffeehouse. Inquire within. And that's what we did. We went in, had a cup of coffee that couldn't be beat, took a bite of an ethereal brownie, bit off the leg of a gingerbread person, and immediately we were transported into the presence of the muses. And we found them humming this tune. And inspired by their presence, we put these words together. There ain't nothing you can't espouse at Bogart's Coffee House. There ain't nothing you can't espouse at Bogart's Coffee House. Now you walk right in, you step around the stacks. Over to your left, you got your coffee and snacks. Now there ain't nothing you can't espouse at Bogart's Coffee House. Then we slowly dropped back to earth, had another cup of coffee that couldn't be beat, bit the other leg off the gingerbread guy, and walked out into the light of day, ready for anything that life would throw at us. Now let me tell you something about Abby. There's a song about Abby. Now Abby doesn't live in the bookstore. She lives upstairs with her fedora-wearing, cigarette-smoking dog. And seeing as how she had all that room downstairs where she wasn't living, she figured she could collect a lot of books. And pretty soon she had stacks along this wall, and She had stacks along that wall and stacks in the middle. I mean, there was stacks stacked up around stacks and making stacks and stacks of books, and they was full of knowledge and all kinds of things. It was all there, friends. There was picture books and books full of ideas and books full of words disconnected from any rational thought process whatsoever, sometimes called poetry. But it was all good, and she dug it, and then she came to the realization that she could turn a character defect into a money-making business. All she needed was a catchy theme. Well, she looked around and thought maybe Stacks would be a good name, but no, that was too obvious for a woman of such mystery and eclectic taste. Just then, this cross-dressing, cigarette-smoking dog gave her a here's-looking-at-you kid look from under her fedora, and out of the haze of cigarette smoke, perfect name and logo were born. Bogart's Bookstore, Coffeehouse, and Creative Emporium felt as right as the worn trench coat on a foggy runway. And what better symbol of the joys of quiet reflection and immersive delight in words than the iconic likeness of a manly, tough guy, butt-kicking bogey caricatured in a fedora-wearing, cigarette-smoking hound. And him being dead these many years, there wasn't nothing he could do about it. Yes, she put pictures on the walls and artwork of all kinds in between where the books weren't. And Bogart's became known as the place where creative juices flowed like rain in the gutter after a thunderstorm. That's not what I came to talk to you about today. I came to talk about poetry, freedom of expression, and all kinds of things that could be, should be, and would be made illegal if some folks have their way. You may not know this, but some folks out there would like to control what you are allowed to read, and think, and say, and imagine, and even draw. They want to Taliban your books, censorize your thoughts, sanitize your actions, and generally take the fun out of your weird proclivities. Be they banging your bongos, alone or in concert, or shaking your rain stick in public places, or maybe just dressing up funny, making rude rhymes, and otherwise known as rap. Now these folks think it would be a better world had Huck went down that river without Jim. Or Holden Caulfield just sucked it up, stopped complaining, and became an investment banker. They want Humbert to stick to women his own age. They want to see to it that we never get to hear Whitman's barbaric yop or shudder with Ginsberg's howl. They'd rather we kept our neuroses to ourselves like good folk ought to do, 'cause sharing's a socialist trait, and we'll have none of that here. So, if you don't want your freedom of expression to become a controlled substance, you've got to sing the Abby's Coffeehouse Freedom of Creative Expression song. You know, if one person went to the steps of City Hall and sang a chorus of Abby's Coffeehouse, walked out, they'd probably think he was just crazy and ignore him. But if two people went to the steps of City Hall, sang a chorus of Abby's Coffeehouse in harmony, well, if you don't ask and they don't tell, well, they'd ignore them too and go on making backroom deals and playing euchre with our tax dollars. But if three people, can you imagine three people? Three people went to the steps of City Hall and sang a chorus of Abby's Coffeehouse. Well, friends, they might think it's a movement, and that's what it is. It's the Abby's Coffeehouse movement for freedom of creative expression, and all you got to do to join is singing along with me the next time it comes around on the guitar. feeling. We're just waiting for it to come around now. Here it comes. There ain't nothing you can't espouse at Bogart's Coffeehouse. There ain't nothing you can't espouse at Bogart's Coffeehouse. Now you walk right in, you step around the stack. Over to your left, you got your coffee and snacks. There ain't nothing you can't espouse at Bogart's Coffeehouse. Well, that was terrible. You want to assert your right to a creative life, you got to sing loud. I've been singing this song for 10 minutes now. I'm going to sing it for 10 more. I ain't proud or tired. So let's try it again. Here it comes around. There ain't nothing you can't espouse at Bogart's Coffeehouse. There ain't nothing you can't espouse at Bogart's Coffeehouse. Now you walk right in around the stack. Over to your left, you got your coffee and snacks. There ain't nothing you can't espouse at Bogart's Coffeehouse. Da 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 da. Bogart.